Hi, everybody. Welcome to Why Am I Yelling? Happy Valentine's Day. I tried to find as much red as I possibly could. I am fresh off of speaking to my second graders class, so I'm a little bit hopped up on 7-year-old love, which I'm super excited about. And it is another episode of Why Am I Yelling Live, where we get to spend some time with entrepreneurs and women and sometimes men who are doing great things in the world and who I admire and want to learn more about. So today we have the amazing Angela Hosking with us. Angela is a women's empowerment and leadership speaker. She is an author, she is a workshop facilitator, and she's a coach and the founder of Her One Tribe. She has got a lot of experience, and we are very excited to have her here. I'm going to let her talk about all of that and more. So we'd like to welcome you to the show and thank you for being here, and just give us a little background on who you are, what's going on. And I really want to get into Her One Tribe. I think that is a really great idea. I've been doing a little research and reading on you. So welcome. Hi.
Hi. Well, happy Valentine's Day. And yesterday was Galentine's Day. So I feel like I am all hopped up on that love. I spent it yesterday with 25 women doing a workshop at Empower You. So we really had a great time.
That's
But
wonderful.
my background is I had more than 10 years of leadership experience in the healthcare industry. Always wanted to be a writer. That was a goal from when I was a younger kid. And got up to a position in a place in my career where I started noticing that there was some opportunity to support women leaders and women growing in the leadership field. And also got really frustrated that every time I went to the bookstore, every leadership book I saw was written by a man for men.
Yes,
And got to a place where I decided, be the change you wish to see and
that's right.
share the voice. So Her One Tribe really started out 5 years ago as a women's leadership blog, terribly called leadershipelevateher.com, as a passion
So good.
project.
So
Yeah,
good.
no. In those early years, you have no idea what SEO means. And
No
I was
idea.
being super clever with the title, ride the elevator to success, leadership
Yep.
elevate
Yep.
her,
Yep.
but nobody got it.
Right.
So, but yeah, so I have been spending the last 2.5 years really raising the flag and trying to find as many women as I can to help talk about what I consider the next barrier of the glass ceiling, which is our own confidence, and
Love
really
that.
helping us to focus on what we can control and how we can support other women to break it through.
Right. And so how do like okay, so now we're gonna probably talk about sharing tips in a moment though. So how did you start this movement, right? Like was it as a result of an experience you had as a business person or in your career, and you just felt like, this is what I need to have for me, so I wanted to share it with other people? Like, because that's how mine started.
Yeah, I really think the 2016 election just sort of rocked me. And
Everybody?
I think it's so what 4 years ago. So I'm 53. So I was 49. I have two adult daughters. At that stage, they were 23 and maybe 19,
Right.
and really thought I had left or was leaving the world in a much more evolved place for women for my daughters
Right.
than it was, and really felt like, whoa, 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 maybe we haven't made as much progress as we had. And coupled with that, I had a couple of experiences with, mean girls at work,
Yep.
and really decided this just is not the way. And it really truly started as a passion project. I had no intention. I was an accidental entrepreneur. I was a corporate girl. I had no intention of starting a business. And it sort of organically grew into something where people were asking for more. And I thought, okay, you're being called to do this. And you raised your hand and said, if not me, then who?
Right.
So
Right.
stepped up, girl. And it just evolved. I started my company almost 2 years ago, and changed the name to Her One Tribe, because really what I wanted to do was build a community where women supported women and were able to feel comfortable asking questions about, how can you help me? How can I help you?
Right.
But how did you do that?
Right.
Rather than feeling jealous or, a feeling of lack of, oh, I could never do that. Just say, oh my gosh, like, that's so awesome. Could you help teach me?
Right. Right. And I think I agree with everything you just said, right? I feel like, a lot of women felt very disempowered a few years ago. And especially if you're a mom of girls, I'm a mom of boys. And I felt like, oh my God, I have to reteach them things because they're not learning this stuff. Um, but I think it's really important to elevate other women. And I think so many women talk about it, but they don't actually do it, right? I mean, I've belonged to communities that it's like, oh, I'm empowering, empowering, empowering. And then when somebody shares an achievement, it's like all of a sudden you see the haters. And it's like, what? This is not what I'm here for. I'm not here for somebody to, I'm here for support. I'm here for encouragement. I'm here for, oh my gosh, you can do this, right? And I think that's what I like to do, and why when I'm looking to align myself with other people to collaborate with or to talk to or to learn from, that we need to be finding people like you and your community and a lot of other people that I've been talking to lately just on this, because I think there is a lack of that. There's a lack of leadership for women. We need your book and we need your community and we need to be able to teach other people and connect, and honestly, I find that giving freely and doing it that way makes you feel so much better. It's like, I'm not out to make a buck from you. I'm out to help you succeed, right? So I think, that's really, really important. So tell me what your biggest objective with your community is.
I think the biggest objective, I probably have two. One is for women to understand that the thoughts in their head are exactly alike, that every woman has them.
Yeah,
Every single woman has them. We walk through the top four thinking patterns that women have. And we talk about referent groups and society and how we were raised to think like the good girl and to follow the rules and
right.
by the rules, and there are no rules. There's no rules. There's only rules in our head. So my objective really is to get them to understand that they're not alone, and that those feelings of guilt, shame, and embarrassment and not enoughness are traditionally felt by every woman.
Yep.
And then the other thing is paying it forward. So really, I have a core saying that I heard the first half from a great woman leader that I had, and I sort of tagged on the back. And so she had always said, we stand on the shoulders of the women that came before us.
Yep.
And I added, and we turn around and we look to see who we can lift up behind.
Yep.
Because it is a joint venture that we have to work together to do it. We can't do it alone.
No.
And I think we were all sort of fed the line that there was, only so many women can be successful because, oh, there's not so many successful women. And that's BS, because
Totally.
the more women that are successful, the more opportunities that we give other women.
Right.
And so
That
it's a
creates.
numbers game. Yeah, it's a
Yep.
numbers game. And so those are really my two objectives. And I know I can't do it one person, I'm one person,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if I can inspire somebody else and open their mind and their eyes, and then they turn to help somebody else, then it's a chain reaction.
I I agree with you. I think that is a really lovely thing, and I think um, a learning lesson for me since I started my business um, almost 5 years ago uh, is that there are going to be people that support you in your inner circle, and then there are going to be people that don't, and you're going to have a complete transformation of your circle, right?
Yes,
So, is that
100%.
something you've experienced in the last few
100%.
years?
100%. And it's not that it's a bad thing. It
Nope.
doesn't mean that the people that you don't spend as much time with anymore are not important to you. But it means that as you grow, I always seek to be the least experienced person in the room.
Said that yesterday at
Yeah,
my kid's school. I was
I
like,
want.
don't be the smartest or the most experienced person in a room. You want to learn from those people.
Sure,
Yep.
sure. And on the flip side of that, like in my workshops and coaching, then I also wanted to give my knowledge to somebody else who thinks, oh, you've got more experience, Angela. Like, how can I
Yep.
get that from you? But honestly, what I didn't realize going through this journey was that I would completely reinvent who I thought I was and my life's purpose. And so I don't teach or share anything that I haven't personally experienced and understood myself, because I can speak, wow, I really have completely reframed the way that I view my circle and the people that I spend time with. In my framework that I have, the bottom, it's like a triangle, and the bottom of it says empowering environment. And one of the quick activities I have women do, which sometimes is a big aha, is to write down, we hear about the 5 people you surround yourself with, but
Yep.
really write down the 5 people that you spend the most time with, whether you want to or not, right? Whether it's in a job or family.
Yes.
And very viscerally from, a gut check, arrow up or arrow down. Do they make you feel supported? Do they make you feel better about yourself? Do they make you feel not shamed in it, or like you have to one up them? Do they make you feel safe, not judged? And if you don't have 5 arrows up, then you need to be evaluating how much time you're spending with the arrow down, and or see how you can add more arrows up around you, because we all only have so much energy and motivation.
Yes.
And when you get in a room full of women that all feel the same way, it's so different. You're able to go so much farther, so much quicker.
Yes. I agree with that. I think that, um, you know, it's a learning lesson. And like you said, like you change as you go through this process. And I knew that was going to happen for me because I had just come off of a really bad experience in my corporate life when I started my business. And so I knew I had to do changing in order to create what I wanted to create. So I took time off and I did a lot of like self-reflection, and I did a lot of, mindset work and all of that stuff, and really had to get healthy, like mind, body, spirit kind of thing. Um, and so many women, especially, don't allow themselves that gift. And you don't have to walk away from your job to do it, right? But actually learning who you are at your core, and like what you love and who you love to be with and all of those things, I think is something that, we're not far off from age, right? So we probably learned things from our mothers and our grandmothers that we don't teach our children today, right? I didn't learn to put myself first. That was not taught to me. Take care of your husband, take care of your children, take care of this, take care of your friends, take care of your home. And then if there's a drop of energy left, buy yourself a nice lipstick. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't,
Yeah,
there was no such thing as self-care when I was born.
right.
Um, so I think shifting that mindset to our children and like, I'm sure you've taught your girls, love yourself first before you know move on to the next person, because you're the most important, right? And I think that it's really important to say those words to other women. It's really important to give them that power, because sometimes we feel powerless.
Sure, sure. It's funny, the unlearning. My daughter's like teasing them, like, okay, so there was a lot that I did that probably has screwed you up. And so, so I realize that now. And as I'm learning to teach other women, let me help you unlearn some of the things that I might have either unconsciously or consciously
Sure.
put out there. And they're laughing. They'll say, we'll be talking. They'll say, okay, so take off the life improvement coach hat, mom.
I get that all the time too.
and just listen. And I'm like, okay. But I have seen, it's wonderful. I have seen in the last 2 years, um, I've seen them blossom and grow, and I hear them um, mimicking and saying to themselves things that I am now teaching them to question and ask. And so I'm just like, yes,
Yes.
yes. What did you learn from that failure? Yes, it
Yes.
didn't kill you. So it's never too late. It's never too late for any of us, and it's never too late to have that question and say, we really do parents really unconsciously. We mimic what we were told,
Yep.
and want to keep them safe. So we oftentimes screw that up.
Total, yes, without question. Um, but I will say this, it's funny because again, I'm going to say this again, but I was talking to my son's high school yesterday, and I do a talk for high school kids, and this was not the talk, but there are 3 things that I say to my kids every day. And I was explaining it to them. And I was like, the 3 things I say to my kids every day is make good choices, because they're still young. be happy because that's the most important thing, and I love you because there's not people don't say I love you enough, right?
Right.
And it's not reserved for your closest people. Like I tell the people in the grocery store I love them. Oh my God, the lady pulled the balloons down off the ceiling for me the other day. I was like, thank you, God, I love you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you for helping me. And she was like, I love you too. And she gave me a hug. And that was like, it was so cute. Right. But I think, it was funny because when I was telling the kids this, they didn't know whose mom I was. And then somebody raised their hand and was like, whose mom? Like, you have a kid in the school, whose mom are you? And I was like, I'm Wyatt's mom. And one of the other girls was like, Wyatt is exactly like that. Like he always
Oh,
like, and I was like, oh, it's working. It's working.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Yes. And it is awesome. And I think that it's really important to be present and try to set those, you know, moments in time for them that that they experience with you. My question is, because your girls are older, how has your transformation and your transition from being mom in corporate and having a full-time job somewhere else, not through yourself, how has this whole transformation of you affected them?
I think that they have, what I was fed, and I had traditionalist parents, and I was the youngest. So,
Hold on,
my
sorry.
mom is still living, and she's 90. Um, and my father just passed last year. So, what I was told, um, you know, child of the late 60s, was go to school, get a great
Yep.
education,
Get a
get as
job.
many, get as many degrees as you can possibly get, put your nose to the grindstone, work hard, sit in the front of the class. And all of that worked quite well. But what it taught me was that my value was extrinsic. Like I was only as valuable as many letters were behind my name.
Yep.
And so, I took it to the extreme. And really, as I started the process 5 years ago, this is ridiculous. All right. I
You
had
have a
two
lot of
undergrad,
letters.
I have a lot of letters. I had two undergraduate degrees, two master's degrees, two national certifications. I'm a registered nurse. And so, and I just sort of went, huh, like,
Do I really need all of these letters?
huh. And so I think your question was, how have they changed? I think now what they're seeing me say is, so really, what do you need more of? Do you need more education? My youngest daughter is just about to get her master's degree, and she wants to be a physician, so she's going to go to medical school.
Of course.
So yes, for that, 100%, she
Right.
needs that education. Um, or do you really need to work on your own self-confidence first? Is
Right.
it about you not feeling enough, ready enough, smart enough to apply for something because it's in your head, not because it's not on a piece of paper?
Right.
I'll give you a perfect example. I did a keynote on imposter syndrome, and it was a room full of women CPAs, very, very bright women.
Right.
And one of the women came up to me, and she had just finished her PhD. And she said, I cannot even believe this. She says, I didn't even know what imposter syndrome was. She said, but I just finished my PhD, and the first thought I had after that was, do I need something else? And so for her, it was a huge like light bulb aha, like, whoa, I am pretty smart. I'm pretty accomplished.
Yep.
And maybe what I need to be working on isn't necessarily another formal education.
Right. Right. I think so often we discount our life experience, which quite honestly, in some cases is more important than our education. So, when you're talking to somebody and it's like, oh, this person must be so smart and they must have all this stuff and they must have all these letters behind their name and they must have all this accreditation or whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, I just, I have been around the world and I've done this and I've experienced that and I've traveled there and I've worked here and I've put all this stuff behind me. And it's like, oh, you can do that too. And a lot of us
Exactly.
don't know that as as an alternative, right? I mean, school is not necessarily for everybody, but I think a lot of times we do discount our life experience. Case in point, I'm actually working with a client now who uh, we're partnering on a project, and he was like, "Why would somebody like you, with all of your experience, want to help me?" And I was like, "Here's why: because I know that I can help you, and because you need my experience. It has
Right.
nothing to do with, you know, my graduate or my degree or my this or my that or how I coach. You need my 20 years of experience, of my life experience that I've had to help you communicate this to your client to be able to get this service out there and appreciated by the masses, right? So I think that is a really good lesson for all of us to learn. And the self-doubt and I mean, imposter syndrome is, it's such a big thing and people don't know what it is because they experience it, but they don't know how to articulate it.
Well, and you know, and my science background, my nursing background always pulls me to the evidence, right? So
Yep.
two big studies that I always talk about are both from Harvard Business Review, and you know, one is one about that women, you know, really need to feel 100% like they have the qualifications to apply, and men it's 60%,
It's
right?
insane. Yep.
And the other one was most recent, which it made me laugh so hard. Truly, honestly, it's about self promotion, and it was entitled, and it's a December article. If people want to look it up, it's why women don't self promote as much as men. And so they did this study where women and men took an exam, and same exam, and the ones that scored exactly the same, they asked the men, "How do you think you did?" They asked the women, "How do you think you did?" The men reported 33% higher that they thought they did better
Better.
than the women. And I laughed. I mean, I tell this and I'm like, so maybe this is not a surprise to women who've dated men, that men think that they're 33% better than we are. But you know, that piece of not claiming how well you and your strengths and what you
Yep.
do, um, is 100% related to the opportunities that you receive, or how people feel that you're ready or not. We did an exercise in the workshop yesterday about boosting your strengths, because women tend to focus only on the gaps. We focus on what we're not good at. And I kid you not, so many of them had a hard time coming up with 3 of their strengths. They really did. And then they would say, and we were trying to create a new referent group, right? We're trying to create a comfortability of, I'm so comfortable sharing my strength with you in
Right.
this room. So they would go to share their strength, and it would be immediately followed by,
But
I'm really good at this. And then they'd go, but I'm not really good at that. Or,
right.
but I'm not really good at that. I'm like,
Right.
what? Stop.
Yeah, and I think and that happens all the time, right? Like we have a hard time stepping into our power and owning it, right? It's like we don't want to be perceived as self-promoting or arrogant or any of the things that we were taught not to be, right? Don't be
Right,
arrogant, don't talk about yourself so much, don't this, don't that. And
right.
now it's like we're encouraged to. So how do we dip our toe into the water or slam ourselves into the puddle and say, guess what? I'm here and I'm not going away. And this is either you accept me or you don't accept me. And I think that goes
Sure.
back to clearing out your circle and reevaluating the people that you spend the time with and really taking time to appreciate yourself. Um, and yeah, I'm a big relationship person, right? I wrote a book on it and all the stuff. And so I talk about, the relationship you have with yourself first, because
Right.
that one has to be maintained and worked on the most, I think,
Correct.
because we are so self-deprecating. It's like, I'm good at this, but there's a lot of but happening in our dialogue, and we have to figure out how to eliminate that. So what's your best tactic to eliminate the but?
Um, well, like you said, the first piece that you have to examine is figuring out who you are and what you want,
Right.
and understanding what stories you've been telling yourself about your self identity and what you can and can't do. And you know, the first thing I encourage women to do is to sit down, and I have a couple of free sheets. I can give you some links to
Oh, good.
your
Yeah, I'll put
audience.
that in the show notes. Yep.
So values and beliefs, right? So values are the things that make us us. They are our core, to the core of who we are. But our beliefs are things that are we believe to be true, that are not necessarily, we don't need any proof about. So I might believe that I'm really bad at math, but really I'm not. Or I might believe that I'm really not an athlete, but really if I applied myself, I could be quite physically athletic. And so walking themselves through a worksheet of figuring out first of what their core values are, because those are going to drive their motivation levels, and they're also going to help them to understand why they get into conflict with other people if they have values that are different, but also what beliefs that they fed themselves, and beginning to question them. So that's the first stage, and then beginning to start questioning those thoughts that pop up. You know, is this really true? Where's the evidence to that? I had a workshop that I did for women entrepreneurs. We had them write down what was their limiting to belief, and she's like, I can't grow my business, that's my belief. And I said, so how long have you been in business? And she said, 5 years. And I said, so when you started, did you have any revenue? And she said, no. And I said, so where are you today? She says, well, I'm at 6 figures. And I said, so can you
That's
grow
not
a business?
nothing.
Can you grow a business? And she's like, well, yeah, but I don't know if I can grow it more. And I said, so did you go from 0 to 6 figures? And she said, yeah. And I said, so, and beginning to question that lie, because when you tell it to yourself, then you don't even attempt to do any behaviors that would make that lie be untrue, right? If I'm not athletic, then I'm not going to bother to work out. Or if I'm not good at math, I'm not going to bother to challenge myself with a class. I did that with my own self. I'm right-brained as you can be. Yeah. And I went back to get my MBA, and my brain from 8th grade sat there and said, who do you think you are? Your algebra teacher was like, Angela, Angela, Angela,
Yep.
And I could learn it. I had to learn it differently. But I did. And so, challenging yourself to do some risky things and see if that's really true or not.
I love that. I think that's really important. And I think it's important for us to do that on a daily basis, not just when we're focusing on a project or we're building a business or whatever. I think it should be something that we do for ourselves every single day, is challenge yourself to do something that's a little bit scary or a little bit out of your comfort zone, because that's where you grow the most, right? Everyone said, you hear that all the time, like you grow the most when you're stepping out of your comfort zone. But I firmly do believe that. I think that's a really important lesson for all of us to learn.
Well, here's something tactical I can offer your audience. So I prescribe in what I call an insanely brave moment on your calendar every day. And so what I call an insanely brave moment is 50% exciting and 50% scary, right? It's something that gets you a little juicy and excited, but I don't know that I really want to do that. And the reason why I say you put it on your calendar, it's like, if you go to the gym 3 times a year, are you going to build the muscle? No. So, we decide to be brave or get out of our comfort zone maybe 3 times a year, but it's not going to build that muscle.
Right.
And so coming up with maybe a list of 20 or 30 things for the month that are uncomfortable, but 50% exciting, putting it on your calendar and scheduling it and holding yourself accountable to it is the easiest way to get into a habit of doing uncomfortable things.
I'm writing this down.
And the amazing thing about that is that what you think is uncomfortable in an insanely brave moment today will not even be on that list 6 months from now, right? Because we're always amping it up. An example, coming on live, speaking to you today is nothing to me. Whereas maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I would have been like, oh my goodness, what am I going to say and embarrass myself, right? But practicing and exercising it over and over and over again, you just like, oh, that's not that big a deal. Why did I make that to be that big a deal?
Right. See, insanely brave moments. I think we're going to end here.
Okay.
That was a really great way. I mean, really great. So here's what I want, audience. I want you to schedule your insanely brave moments every day. Make your list of 20. And it is the middle of February. It is February 14th. You can start Monday. You can start tomorrow, but you can start Monday if you want to have to think about it and take some time to write your list. But make a list for the rest of this month. You've got 15 more days for the rest of this month. Make your list of insanely brave moments and schedule it on your calendar. And then let us know.
Hey, tag me on Instagram at Her One Tribe. I would love to see what you're doing.
We are going to put all of it. You follow Angela. We're going to call it, we'll do like a little challenge.
Sure.
Okay. I mean, this is like impromptu challenge. You and me doing that insanely brave moment. I'm gonna post it out there for everybody, and we'll start it on Monday, and we'll do the insanely brave moment challenge. You can tag Angela, tag me in your Instagram post, and we're gonna see how you guys are getting out of your comfort zones, and if we can help you in any way, shape, or form, please let us know. You have been just an angel and a love to chat with today, my friend.
Thank you.
This has been great. I'm gonna sign us off, and you stay right there.
Okay.
You guys, thank you for watching. Happy Valentine's Day. We are off next week because it is President's Week, and in New York City, we have an entire week off for winter break because our children don't go to school enough, right? We'll be back here in 2 weeks, so you'll see us then. But until then, get ready with your insanely brave moments. See you soon.